time from that.
Okay.
Okay.
It's 5:30. Can we go?
Yep.
It's recording. It's 5:30. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Miss Carl.
Yeah, okay, this is very strange talking to the public that's not in front of us, but I just wanted to thank everyone for being patient with us as we work through some of our technical issues. I think we're on about plan F in the program of getting this to work. Last night was our first test run, had some issues, but we're working on getting the recording up and on the website and on the Facebook page. So thank you again for your patience. So I would like to consider the minutes of the special meeting, March 16th, 2020, and regular meeting, March 17th, 2020.
I'll second it.
Any comments, questions? Yeah.
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Garris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Mayor Urbano?
Aye. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
What's the difference between 9 and 11? Or 9 and, yeah.
9 is the resolution that we,
It's one that I drafted, but we are going to need to strike it for the day. There were two more that I realized today when, I don't remember who was on at that point already. We changed it at one point when K.S.A was mayor with regard to cutting down dramatically. And then changed it again up with Matt Townsend, and I need to incorporate those changes. I mean, get rid of some things in both of those. When I called the Session K.S.A, but he can't find them. I found one of them before I had to head this way. They look just like the old procurement ones, but I'm going to need to reference them and make sure we have the right numbers.
and that's in relation to the 10,000.
Yes.
Capital.
10,025. And you already have it in the minutes, so if those have been approved. That power already is in place. The resolution is just so we have a paper trail.
So we need to,
Strike number 9.
Yes, please.
Excellent.
and review protocol of absence of city manager. What's that one?
I assume that was, there were some general questions at one point about.
Yes.
So this is me, I think we just need to keep reminding the public that we're doing everything within what we're supposed to be doing. And then it's just more of a.
A refreshing thing,
Yeah.
is that what you're
Yeah,
asking for?
I just- People seem to think we're city managers on, we're definitely city managers. And just make sure the public hears it again.
We can do that weekly if that's what the wishes are. I would like to recommend that we move number 12. We'll reverse 12 and 13. So 12 would become the executive session. And then update on the city manager would become 13. Any other additions or corrections? I'll move approval of the agenda, striking number 9 and reversing the order of number 12 and 13.
I'll second.
Kathy?
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Garris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Mayor Urbano?
Aye. Okay, I would just like to share what the city of Harrington has done and is doing in relation to the COVID-19. I just can't say how proud I am of all of our community members in taking quick action, daily changes to their business and how they operate. So I apologize because I know I'm going to forget someone, but maybe you guys can help me fill in. So the hospital has been working on this since January, and maybe even before that, but I happened to notice an article in the paper in January. Some of our business owners have made the extremely difficult decision to close their businesses temporarily until we can get through this crisis. Other businesses are making daily adjustments in order to accommodate the needs of our citizens. The grocery stores, the clerks, the pharmacy, the daycare centers, the restaurants that are remaining open and abiding by the orders of the governor. City crews are keeping everything going for our citizens. I think for the most part, our general public would not realize, number one, that we're operating without a city manager, but compounded that we're in the mode that we're in today. And they're adjusting their schedule so that they can be safe and keep the community safe. City office personnel, geez, they were working on double duty from January without a city manager, add on top of the COVID-19. It's just compounded exponentially what they're dealing with on a daily basis, and doing a great job. Let's see, the chamber, Kim at our Chamber of Commerce has just done an outstanding job of posting all of the required notices from the governor, from the county, from the different entities that are around. She's posting actual information, excuse me, as well as reaching out to our businesses and citizens individually. The county and state, we're very fortunate that we have a good relationship with those entities, and a number of us are on conference calls several times a week just to stay abreast of the daily changes. The park and playground equipment was roped off. The library took quick action. Hilltop, Lori and her staff are doing Meals on Wheels. They've added additional meals to their daily deliveries, and Lori is just doing an outstanding job of making sure that everything is safe and sanitary. And the FRE has made adjustments to make sure that they're able to provide food and other goods in this time of crisis for those that are in need. So I know I forgot someone. Does anyone want to add to what city?
Schools getting meals out to the kids out here in front of the churches and stuff,
Yes.
and doing online training for them. So the whole community is pulling together.
Everyone is stepping up. I'm super pleased with that. So next, does anybody else have anything they want to add to that? Next up, we'll have a call with John Holtgren and Brad Hellman from the Dickinson County Health Department. Let's see. I need to pick up. Hello, this is,
Please hang up and dial 911. Our office hours are 8 to 6 p.m. Monday, 8 to 5 p.m. Tuesday through Friday. Enter your mailbox number.
John and Brad. Yes. Yeah, it's okay. We're used to technical glitches and we're good with it. So you are on speakerphone with the Harrington
Thank you for calling the
City
Dickinson
Commission.
County Courthouse. If you know the party's extension you wish to dial, do so now.
I might
If you
just
do not know the extension number,
call you
dial 740-3.
back on my cell phone and see if we can do that better.
What's the number we can call you about?
Here, I'm gonna call you real quick on a different line. Hang up and I'll be right back. We got it? All right. It's on. If I could just stop for a moment. I got a message from a citizen that says the webinar has not started. And it says this webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
And that is now started. Is that correct, Marcus?
Yep. I hit start recording. It does that every time. On all instances.
Yes. Well, no, just go to the.
Same difference.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully our, the community can hear and view us now. Okay, do you guys, we just went through a little update on what the city has done here. And so you want to give us an update from your perspective?
Yeah, we sure can. All here in Brandon as well. We will try to give you a little short update of what we're doing at the county and try to answer any questions that you have or anyone down there have. So, as you probably know, so far we have no positive cases within our county. Tested probably close to 25 to 30 people right now. We constantly seems like that we're waiting on results, but so far we've avoided any cases in our county. So the governors, as you are fully aware, our first order was a school suspension order, which closed the schools for a 2-week period, and then that followed. We did that on a Friday, and followed on that Sunday. The governor put out an order closing on the rest of the school year. We then issued an order on closing certain businesses, and then the governor followed, of course, with the statewide order a little later and a stay-at-home order. And there's some what was allowed to be open and what wasn't, and that order that the governor put out superseded any order that we had. So any order that we had put down or said that, hey, this business could or could not be open was superseded by her order. But if you had a business that you were concerned about, then those places of business had to be sent to the governor's office, and the governor's office made the decision on whether those were essential businesses or not. We no longer did that. She did that. So that about 3 o'clock concerning social gathering. She did limit at 10 people. She did put guidelines on religious services and churches gatherings that could exceed the 10 counts attendees to church. It did not in that 10 number include the minister or someone filming it, or choir members were not in that. So the 10 only for the people that were there as parishioners. So a lot of language in there talking about, in the future, starting to allow places maybe to start opening up. But what it didn't do is supersede the previous order that required essential businesses only, said that like restaurants could only do carry-out delivery. That is still in place, but with its new order, and that isn't in place till the 19th of this month. This new order that goes into effect is effective now, but so is the other order, and this one's in effect until the 1st of May. So it's a little confusing. Look at this order, you think that it allows restaurants and bars and stuff to open back up. It doesn't. Because the other order is still in place, and in the other order of essential businesses, it says that for food establishments, it's only essential definition is for carry out or delivery. So what I think is probably going to be done is this is probably going to be a transition one, so that if on the 19th when the other order expires, we're in a situation situation where we can allow some, with social distancing, allow some food establishments and bars and such to open back up. This order would allow that. However, this order does allow us, as the local, should things not be better with the number of cases, that we could make these stricter and then keep some of that stuff shut down. So it does give us that allowance. So that's kind of, if anybody has any on the orders, that's kind of where we stand at this point with the orders. So I'll be happy to answer questions in relation to the orders.
Brad, do you foresee the county commission?
Yeah,
setting
sure.
the order?
Yeah, we just a little history back. Of course, we've been monitoring this pretty closely, and as you know, Eric, you participate. I think Marcus has on 3 of our conference calls on Friday to keep everybody updated. But the county took a stance, and we want to make sure we protect our employees as much as we can. The district court 2 weeks ago closed all functions upstairs in the courthouse. At that time, we continued operating, although we did scale back initially the entrances into the courthouse. Any public coming in, we were trying to minimize those numbers. So last week we did do it by appointment only. We did see that the public has been doing a pretty good job of doing all their business online and by telephone, but I think we averaged 7 or 8 people in the courthouse during the day, which is significantly down from what it normally would be, obviously. Starting yesterday, we did lock the doors and we went to a half-staff scheduling where most of the offices are shut down with only bare minimum people in them operating, and then we alternate those people from day to day. One of the purposes behind it, and I'm sure the concerns you folks have as well, is, for example, we only have 2 people that can do payroll, and if they sit across the hall from each other, and if they both got ill, then we would be in a tough situation trying to get our payroll accomplished. We have a number of functions like that, so we didn't want those 2 people in for the time being working at the same time in case one of them did come down with something. So we juggled those schedules and all the offices. We're still keeping the wheels on the bus, things are functioning, but at a very slow pace. Much like all of society right now, things are just going very slow. That's what we're going to do at least up until 2 weeks from now. We'll review the situation and kind of see where we stand. So, John talked a little bit about the fact that we haven't had any positive cases in Dixon County. I think, we've said a number of times, I think that's a little bit of a misnomer. We do know that we've had some people that have tested positive that were in the county, but they were from other areas. And we've got a question, why have we done all these tests and we haven't had any positives? When we know for a fact we had people that exhibit symptoms that the doctors have said they would bet were going to be positive and came back negative. So I don't want anything to have a false sense of security that we don't have any positive. I think it's a matter of time. As of this weekend, Erie County and Waukegan County didn't have it in. Now they filled in our spot, and we're the only ones out on an island that still don't have a positive. So whether that's attributed to quality tests, whether that's attributed to the fact that we were one of the counties that jumped on the bandwagon and stopped school, and we had a couple of our schools that were on spring break that first week, so we didn't get anybody really coming back to school. That could have been elsewhere to spread it. Could have been one of the contributors, positive contributors. We just don't know. So I think it's good because Dixon County residents listen to the problems and the dangers and abide by them. So where that is, we just don't know what to contribute that to. But I'm sure we're kind of thinking an hour at a time, and I'm sure our time's going to come pretty soon.
Are there any other?
I will comment as far as your services that we provide. Obviously, EMS work in both Abilene and stations like normal. The health department, that we come to Harrington twice a month. For the next month, we had very few numbers that were going to, had appointments. And we had a couple that had just, like well child around. The others were the wig clinic, and we're able to do all of our wig services via phone now during this period. So we did those by phone, so we didn't have those people have to come in. So we did go ahead and cancel the next two health department trips to Harrington. So we will be resuming those after, we hope after that point. So that things are changing. So.
Brad or John, can you maybe give a quick update on the emergency declaration from the county itself?
Yeah, we, I don't remember the day we did it, but we did declare an emergency. I think it was a week, 2 weeks ago this Thursday. The purpose behind that simply is so that even though the state had declared a state of disaster, it also opens us up for any potential FEMA reimbursement in the future for public assistance. We don't know if that will be the case. We don't know what will expand or what expenses will happen, but out of sheer precaution, we wanted to make sure that we follow all the, we had all our T's crossed and I's dotted and make sure that was done. So it also made us eligible to receive some of the supplies from the strategic national stockpile through the state, which we did receive on Sunday, and it was delivered here to the EMS station. John accepted it. And so we have some extra supplies in the way of gowns and masks and gloves that nobody's going to throw a party over by any means. We did get a few things from that stockpile that we've got on hand. If the need arises, we've got it. So there's a few strategic reasons for doing that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're in dire straits. We're always from that. My personal belief is I think things are going to get a lot worse yet before they get better, but hope I'm wrong. So, we did declare the disaster. It was for 60 days in duration. We'll review that when we get close to the 60 days. And hopefully we'll kind of be out of the woods, but I think it's anybody's guess at this point. If we need to redo it, we will. If not, we'll let it expire. So.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? John and Brad, we really appreciate your time and all of the information that you're providing. And I do sit down on the weekly calls on Fridays, as do Commissioner Garris and Marcus and his staff. So we're taking in all the information that we possibly can, and we appreciate what you're doing for us.
Well, thank you very much, and it was brought to our attention that it is Good Friday, but we do still plan on having the meeting this Friday, isn't it? Like normal. So.
Perfect, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're on the COVID update and the executive orders, Brad. The last one that we adopted was, I believe, on March 16th. That was we were at our March 13th executive order, and there's been a number of them since that time. The most recent one that I reviewed said that executive order 20-414 replaces the order 20-04, which is what we adopted. So what do we need to do to ongoing daily changes to make sure that we're adopting and following by those same guidelines?
I think if we just treat it as a ongoing adoption, and we can even do that in motion for it now, that as those are issued, it's our intent to follow and adopt those as they come out, so we don't have to do it each time. We've even had two, space 3 days at one point. That slowed down a little bit, but that doesn't mean, as things are moving west, if we have the same kind of shape of the curve, we're going to see a whole lot of additional things coming out. So I think it's a good idea if we can just make the motion that those executive orders currently adopted and any subsequent ones received, that it's our intent for those to be adopted as they are passed on noticed by the state. And that way, at least,
I would move to adopt the current and subsequent executive orders of the state and the county as an ongoing basis.
I'd second that.
Any discussion?
We need to also, in regards to the executive orders from the governor's office regarding KCC requirement, should we,
because of what we offer, and we have service to see the lighting's going in. So,
because they're currently, they're set to expire, I think, the 19th, is in between our meeting. Should we just go ahead and extend that if we so choose?
Want to do a separate motion?
yeah, I'm going to do
Okay.
that separate.
So if there's any discussion on the motion on the table,
What I'm told is the lighting is fairly high and everything, but
hearing none, Kathy?
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Garris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Mayor Urbani?
Aye.
I would make a motion that we adopt any future, current and future KCC orders regarding utility service stuff.
I'll second. Any discussion?
You're limited to the COVID-19 situation.
yeah, we probably should. We might, I don't see that there's going to be any real differences, but that's a good one.
And kind of locks us. I just thought the way we say it locks us.
Yeah, that's the assumption anyway, so let's do that.
I would amend that motion then to state that we would adopt current and future KCC orders regarding shut-offs during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Garris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman? Aye. Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Mayor Urbani?
Aye. Next on the agenda is discuss and consider the purchase of a riding lawnmower. I can call Leo and Hi, Leo. This is Mayor Urbanic and the City Commission. You're on speakerphone. And we're getting ready to discuss and consider the purchase of a riding lawnmower. Would you like to do a presentation?
I can't attest to those running well. All right. When we call
Leo, time out. We can do this a little bit later. You deal with the fire that you're working on.
oh, no, I can do it. We're kind of talking point. I just don't have a note.
That's okay. Everyone's juggling fires, but you are literally. Goodness. Okay. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, we've got a old 4.0 that we've put a lot of money into. And then this last fall, the 93 year box went out. So with that, came on with it. And then with that, it's $1,000 apart. And at that time, Matt said, no, we're not going to put the money into it because we had to, it was worth it. We could buy new. And then that, so we had to put decide who skid steer to do the mower. And at that time, the skid steer was more pressing. So Matt said, well, do that after the first. So here we are. And the mower that we're looking at get that's on the mowing in town, that and another one, which actually broke down today on us. And it does all the mowing in town and then business properties that the fire department lists. And then if needed to, it does go like cemetery one needs to be used throughout the year. I went out for bids through Hustler and John Deere, but John Deere only get one bid to the fact all the John Deere dealerships are merged together in this area, so there's only basically one company. And we did one last year for a week, and it proved to be a Michelle, I do have 30,000 in the line item that was to be transferred from street into the equipment reserve. But that money could be used for.
How old's the mower that we were replacing? Yes,
I believe it was 2002. But I don't have that paper. I tried to put it in as market.
It's a seven.
It's a 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
But, yeah. We bought it new and we used it, until now. So we had this one part go out once already and we went back to 50 hours now coming again, so.
so you're recommending the John Deere?
But,
You recommending the John Deere mower?
yeah. To be purchased through the Dollar dealership. And help for the warranty parts, whatever, the salesman actually lives south of Harrington, so if he can bring parts to us whenever we need them, or so.
So, and to confirm the price on the John Deere, Marcus, do you have that?
12,500.
12,500 to purchase the new John Deere mower.
And there would be a 3-year warranty that comes along with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. With it. Like I said, I was hoping to get back and look at my sheets that have all this back.
We have it.
We have it here, but we appreciate it. So
Yeah, I should have it, so.
you're fine.
I'll make a motion, we purchase the John Deere mower for 12,500.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Kathy?
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Garris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bill?
Aye.
Mayor?
Aye. Leo, thank you so much for taking the time to call us in the midst of being out of fire.
Well, thank you for, the numbers, so.
Absolutely. Well, be careful out there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, my goodness. Typical, just typical. Item number 10, discuss and consider a request to rent bounce house items for 3 days of the Tri-County Free Fair in the amount of $2,500.
So with the coronavirus going on, there, I'll say this, lots up in the air. And they're struggling to get donations in because they don't know what's going to happen in July right now. So that being said, this item came up and they were only going to rent it for one night on Thursday night. And I asked them what the rate was for 3 nights. And I was like, to me, we need something for the kids to go to for 3 nights rather than just on Thursday night. And they can actually get it for cheaper if they go with a 3-night rate over the course of time. So I was wanting to propose to us if it's something that we could budget for the community to allow the kids to have something to do at the fair.
Were you involved with the bounce house last year, the chamber?
Yes.
Was it a big hit?
Oh, extremely big hit, yeah. So typically, how are requests for donations handled? We can't really do a donation from the city.
No, we do it more as some type of general grant of support to the fair. The other problem, let's see. Tri-County Fair is when,
July 11th, or around that.
whether it will be a event.
And that, correct. If it doesn't happen, obviously.
So I thought we, out of the general fund, we could donate, but we donated.
I think it was, semantics if you don't use the word donate.
Right.
And you do a general grant of support.
That's the reason I said that, is we kind of stay away from the term,
Okay.
since we're using taxpayer dollars. And in this instance, it's a local community event, so I don't see an issue with that. It's different than when someone comes in and says, hey, we're trying to raise money for a medical bill for some citizens.
This pulls people to town and you can't get a carnival anymore.
I'm not opposed, but I do have to ask the question. So how do we determine if, say, for example, the free fair comes and wants to solicit funds, and the fireworks committee wants to solicit funds, and the street fair, I mean, there's just multiple entities. How do we pick one out of those? The chamber has the same exact challenge, and so it's just a matter of who are you going to offend?
What a lot of the cities have done with that exact discussion, because it comes up every time about the same way, is a lot of them established a fund, and they set the guidelines for these grants, and then they assign a group of 3, whether it is members from this body or someone else, to field all applications, and they use the criteria that they set up for that. And they try to award, equitably in as many of them as they can. But that at least puts you in a position where you've got a standardized format for doing it. It's beyond what, this was a simple request, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I knew what it
Yeah. And then the other element of this that we probably have, that we don't normally have, is kind of a contingency. If the fair doesn't go forward, what you do, I mean, are we just, we'll still donate and grant that to them for future use, or no, that would then be put, and whoever does that on their side, they're gonna need to have that contingency built into it too, provided we have it there. Because otherwise, we got no building, no.
That was a big question that this,
Everybody is.
Everyone's,
they're pretty,
I'm not completely opposed to awarding these kinds of grants to any organization. As long as it's a community event. My thing is the city has historically offered free labor for these events.
Anytime, yeah.
Or in-kind services. And that in-kind service also goes without saying, and technically, the city bears the cost of that. So, I don't know. I mean, I could be selfish on one hand, and I can be looking out for the community on the other. I'm not opposed to the grants. I just want to make sure that we're going to do it where we do it equitably to any event.
Point is well taken, if you're gonna get other requests. Everything from what the high school has, with like the robotics team going out, these different organizational, where they're kind of the emissary or some type of ambassador for the city of Harrington in what they're doing. And people come in and say, hey, this is not really particularly different. Gets back to that, having some kind of a set of guidelines each one.
and it will take a bit of time to get those prepared.
Yeah.
Especially since everyone is overwhelmed today, in the next month or so. And even, say by the end of this year, it could be that it would take that long to develop the guidelines for such a grant support document. So I think it's a great idea, and given the changing times, now we need this document so that we have the guidelines and everyone knows how to follow them. I just don't see that it being implemented in time for what if for the 2020 fair.
and like I said, so one of the things, that's one of 2 things that came up, and the other thing was what was it? They were requesting, we gave them access to the trip bill every year.
I believe that's through an application through the city office, like.
Yeah, you could just request that. So heads up that request is coming
Instead of
your
coming through
direction.
here. Yeah, just come through the elections.
Okay, so those were two big questions. I just didn't know. Like I said, I present it to you guys and see.
It was a great discussion, and with some of those things that, today, it's like, okay, why the heck don't we have this already in place? Well, things were different before, it's like, yeah, sure, come on in, and we'll make it work. But in today's world, we need to have things documented and lined out so that there's no misunderstanding or miscommunication, or favorites in that area. But I do think it's a great idea, and if you wouldn't mind keeping it on your follow-up list,
Okay.
then we can review that maybe
So we'll table it.
in a couple
Come back to ideas.
of months when people can breathe a little better. Is that okay?
No,
Is everyone okay with that?
I'm fine with that, but I would also ask this commission if they'd just be willing to go ahead and offer the in-kind services that the city departments can assist any of these organizations right now as they are. And make sure that is set. And everybody already realized.
So that would be, to me, it'd be a city manager's decision. And most of the city managers, any community stuff, they would want to help anyhow. But I think that should be directed for the city manager on their employees.
I'm not disagreeing with you, except for at the moment we have no city manager. So that's the response.
We'll just put it on hold till we get one.
Oh, I guess it's gonna be going on right now.
yeah, we can't get together.
Yeah, get together.
Right.
So we'll take it.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't, we don't table it, so,
He can bring it back up.
yeah.
Logically, depending upon that, or what happens, I mean, it could be brought up, that's it. The logical and secondary time is going to be when you start putting your budget. You always start looking, okay, we are going to do this, we'll want to fund it. And how much and what we put set aside for that, 5,000 for the year or some amount depending upon what things look like. And right now, with what happened with warm taxes, I think they're going to do that. We may be hard pressed. Well,
Okay. Thank you for that.
hopefully things stay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, item number 11 is review of protocol in the absence of the city manager. And Vance, did you want, what did you have in mind?
A lot of people are thinking, where is the city manager? It's bouncing. Who's in charge? And I'm like, well, we're kind of just trying to find a way to get through. We're keeping the ball rolling, and we all take different kind of committees and go and observe, just like what I just did on with the fair, and other people are going at other boards, and we don't make it. I'm just telling them, we don't make decisions. Where there is a listener, we listen, we take things in, then we kind of find a way to bring it back to them. Because we as a whole have to make a decision, not just one individual. And I just want to reiterate to the community, that's how we're doing things right now until we get city manager. We're not the city manager.
Are these citizens that are approaching you?
Citizens, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay, I think you're providing the right answer.
but I need to be in a public forum, so more than just one person's hearing at the time, because I'm hearing it from more than one.
Very good.
So,
So we'll address it with every meeting as needed, and we'll move on.
okay.
Anything else in that regard? Anyone else?
Brad, we had a previous meeting where you said you could reduce it to writing for, that we could place in or share. And we still get that.
Sure. Just kind of a summary
Yeah,
of it, sure.
and that might just maybe alleviate some of that.
What are we doing?
I didn't understand that comment. I'm sorry.
I know we had that discussion before. in this format, in this setting, with a active voting commission, city manager, form of government, and second-class city, how that works in the absence of that city manager, because that's an integral part of how you function in terms of all employees answering to them. We talked about Marcus's role in the interim and your role in the interim, and how those things shift. I think that's what Mr. Harris is referring to. And I can kind of do, I have done that before. It's a little, it's fairly brief. It's not a lengthy thing, 1 or 2 pages. It's more of a memorandum. This is what we are. This is how this works. And in the absence of Susan, this is what we do. And what we typically would do is just as a matter of business practice.
Thank you.
Okay, so item number 12 is the executive session. I move the city commission recess into executive session, K.S.A. 75-4319B1, personnel matters on non-elected personnel to interview potential city manager candidates. The opening meeting is to resume in the city hall boardroom. Do you think 30 minutes?
Sure.
So we'll just make it 7:48. And this is
About 6:40.
6:48, dang it. To include the governing body, city attorney, city clerk, and possibility of Art Davies with Baker Tilly.
I will second it.
Commissioner Donahue?
Aye.
Commissioner Garris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Mayor Urbanic?
Aye.
Top green button.
I just got a message that it's difficult to hear
When you
you
talk.
when you talk, yeah.
Okay.
6:48, regular meeting, resume, with no action taken. As far as, update on our city manager search, we are making significant progress and, moving into making, final decisions, on what our next step was with the prospective candidates. Okay. Let's see, city manager and city commission comments. I might just ask Brad, do you have anything for us that, you know, is kind of on our list that we're gonna put on hold or delay that you can think of?
Some of them are, I guess I would call it prioritization, based on how the last 2 or 3 weeks have gone. For example, we talked at length about putting some type of an understanding memorandum or otherwise together about the event in terms of the drags,
Yes.
the airport. I roughed that out, but I have not talked to
Jeff.
Jeff,
Jeff. So that is, it's kind of hanging there. I need to get with Scott apparently on some things with the mall, in terms of phone calls or some things he's had on that one. I think that he's gonna say bring that list down.
Did you by chance get an opportunity to reach out to any construction
Yes.
or demo people?
Yep.
Good deal. I just chiming in on that, 2 of them.
2 of them who expressed an interest. Their problem right now has been, they're in construction, so they're still running. Both of them were interested in coming over and taking a look at it. One of them asked me about access for it. I said, well, just let me know. We can get you in to walk around inside of it, so you have an idea of what it is you're doing. And so I think there's at least some interest in bidding it.
So Brad, if someone wants to take it over, and it's, of course, it's not ours, they have to deal with the owner.
Yep.
And there's asbestos in there, can they take it out? Or is that a question through KDJ or?
The answer to it is yes. It gets tested to see if it's what's called private. If any of that mold, for example, and I should separate the two because they're treated differently. But it was interesting, both with the mold and the asbestos. Don't quote me on that, JR. It's not fair to say, but because I honestly don't remember for sure on the asbestos. They allow us, there are several ways and processes where you can seal it, cover it, and leave it. And that shocked me at the time because they said, no, there are several approved methods where it cannot, ever get out. And so they allow you to do that without having to do quite the same level of destruction.
So we just have a bubble out there?
No, what they do is, like if it's on material inside, it is almost like a sealant.
Oh,
It is a
okay.
sealant.
So my question, if the guy attains the building,
Yeah.
it's still, we're still going forward, you gotta get cleaned up stuff. His question was, do I have to bring an asbestos person, pay somebody for asbestos removal? Can he remove it himself?
Oh, that's a KDHE question. I would say he's probably gonna have to get someone in there. The reason for that is you have to have certain, even as an owner, you have to have certain credentialing in order to deal with that because of the potential for you to release that into the atmosphere and all of the danger that goes with that.
So what we were gonna do is have a KDH asbestos
Yeah.
person on site.
Yep.
And I'm just throwing this out, it's all speculation, nothing this. So my thought, just my thought only, the city would pay for the guy to be there. If they remove it, it would be cheaper for us in the long run, and he'll take over the building.
Yeah.
That's something that'll have to come back. If everything, this is just speculation, but there's
Options.
options.
Yeah. disagree with that at all. We've done that before. KDHE has tended to be, especially with these, if they can get anything that looks viable, just like us, they tend to be they're consistent in what they have to have done in the public interest, but they are as helpful as they can be in terms of the analysis of that and what at a minimum they'll expect to be done and how that can get done. And so some of it can get serious where you end up having to shroud the whole building, literally so nothing can get out, and it's kind of that reverse air kind of process. A mess.
And I think the last report that we received from the KDHE supervisor is that, given the state it's in, that they could just water it down,
Yeah.
would suffice
Yeah.
for that.
And that, and what I just brought up is speculation. So I just talked to one person and yes, a few questions. I'm bringing it to here. Might go forward or we just might tear it down. I just throw that out there.
That roof is the biggest issue with it. We were okay, and it's been bad for a long time. It's gotten so bad now that basically your sidewalls and stuff are great, but that thing is a mess. And then obviously interior wise with all of that infiltration.
It basically has what he said. He just gutted all the thing out, put a rip on it.
Yep. And begin again.
Yeah.
And if that isn't enough, with the site and sidewalls and basic construction that you've got there are worth that to you, then great. But that's, you gotta have the right purpose in mind for it.
So,
Really appreciate that update. Marcus, do you want to share anything?
Well, in our office, we've just been dealing with setting up the meetings and all this
All the other fires that you put out.
COVID-19 stuff, yeah, besides the regular. So, pretty much focused on those things.
Thanks.
So with COVID-19, was it our decision to close the park or was it the county?
It was a recommendation by the county and we chose to abide by that.
We,
We, the city.
Mhm. The short form answer to your question is who controls it? We do. Because within the city, the county doesn't mandate that at this point. They basically allow within the jurisdictional limits, anything that we own or control, like our parks, our public areas, are ours. They will recommend that you should do the following things, but we do generally have at least some.
Yeah, and in regard to any of us making any decisions that we do not have the authority to make, I believe in a week ago or so, in your minutes that you received from the Monday morning, it had in there where my part of the report is these are recommendations from Brad. Do you recall that part of those notes?
my reasoning for this is because of my research on the COVID situation, it does not, it's an outside thing. I don't see kids licking construction items. I don't see why we're closing things.
Have you,
But that's,
I'm gonna interrupt you. Have
Go
you
ahead.
ever been to the daycare?
And all of those hands, all over all of the equipment, that's why the county recommended.
so the county recommended it, but you said we did it, and I'm wondering who we
I
are.
just told you who we are. If you would have read your minutes, I told you in writing that Brad has recommended a list of items.
I guess I just think I should have been something that came out by it.
Okay,
But that's my recommendation.
it's here, my hand.
No.
I apologize if that overstepped.
You can't
Somebody's
step for the thing. We usually call them just common sense guidelines. So
Maybe someone's overstepping though too.
You feel that I've overstepped my,
No, I'm
Non-authority.
not saying you, I'm saying maybe we're closing things down that don't need to be closed down.
even, okay.
That's my.
I was okay. I don't know if that,
And the police chief, was okay with it.
once they hit a certain level, his recommendation, I know what my kids do, they don't lick the stuff, but they're doing
Just-
this,
yeah.
they're doing this, and
They're doing everything.
I was like, well, we've reached another level, so.
Those stock recommendations kind of came from the state on constantly for the last 3 weeks. And that was one of the ones that they stressed to us if you want to leave your greenways open so people can walk around and not stir crazy, that's fine, because that's outdoor leisure activity, which under the current order for the last few weeks has been consistently appropriate. But take away the potential risk of anything that has surfaces that can be touched. These little kids are innocent. They're going to go over and take a slide and use it as a swing. And the fact that that virus can live on certain things for extended periods of time, they said, rope those off or police take those kinds of things off. Let people walk around, but at least have something that warns them to stay away from this stuff. And I don't think I have a city that hasn't done that. Many of them just close the parks, period. Heck, I've even gotten phone calls, you closing the cemetery or what?
Oh.
Well, most people in there don't care, but those that are visiting, we get into that kind of an issue, and I get it, so people want to do that, and a lot of people walk around in those areas. So the stuff I never even thought about, the phone calls I got in Marion County, that for the most part shut down. We didn't, it's happened in the county, and then if you're a resident out there on property out there, because they have ownership, they could all go and one guy was building a house, you know that, and he said, hey, I'm gonna keep on doing it. Well, yeah, it's construction. So, but what we've done is left the greenways so that people can walk around the pavilions, any kind of recreational.
Class pins at the golf course.
Yeah, they even take the pins out of the golf course holes of it.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing the things you don't even think of.
you had Marion as of Friday, had their parks still open, you had Hillsborough closed, so you had all that, and then we had our lakes were open. But our cities were closed,
Lakes,
the lake parks were open.
it was closed on Sunday when they had an opportunity. They went and roped off in town, and Monday morning, they went out and finished and did the playground equipment.
Okay, all right.
So are you good with the non-authority authority? Okay, Eric.
I'm curious, can we follow up with Buck Driggs? He said we'd have all the permits in place by the end of March.
Oh, there's still contract issues.
We haven't talked about this.
Okay.
I haven't talked about it in the last week, so I don't know. Our, the contract that we talked about previously, we had some real issues with, those still exist, as far as I know. He was working with them, and then we ran into all kinds of problems in terms of timing. That ozone system, proving that all up. I guess we were doing some of the testing, so on some parts of that, that's working, but the contract was not. The contract was something that I would have issues with, and he did too, dramatic ones from the city's perspective. And then on top of that, in terms of the testing, that equipment was to be made for us, specifically designed and built to our standard, to come from California. And we're on the phone, and the discussion with our engineers, we can't load it up. We legally can't do any of that right now. We are prohibited from doing it. So, well, now what? Well, maybe we've got enough of the parts, we can kind of rebuild it or do something to that effect in North Carolina. So we have another opportunity there. And that's the last time. So right now, that's still in a state of flux as far as I know. But yeah, I still think it's probably a good idea to ask him to update collectively the governing body as to exactly what's transpiring. Because I think we're at a bit of a standstill on pieces of it. Some of the testing is being done. I know Marcus was aware of that. I didn't even know that until he mentioned it. But I don't know if we've taken delivery. As far as I know, we haven't. Some of that is kind of time sensitive for us to get.
It's my understanding that West Tech, they've actually gotten several different tests and several things that they're actually quite happy with. Next day, it's just the ozone that you're talking about.
And the hope was, because of the way that all interrelates, was to be able to test that stuff, find out if that as an additional treating process, how effective that was. I think we're running this other testing that we need to keep moving, but I don't think we have that piece of it incorporated.
I'd just like to see if we can get an update from Buck. Maybe the next one.
I think it's a good idea.
And then the other thing I have is we just need to remember that The map's still on. I don't know.
The-
City limits.
Oh,
And the flood
that's,
zone map that'll have to be adopted and everything. I want to make sure that stays on our radar, that we continue with that.
Station.
we just realized last week or so, whenever that, I was following up on the census
Right.
data that,
Along 77.
we knew our maps were out of whack, but we didn't realize annexation documents hadn't been filed properly with the county, and so that's in the mix of,
Hopefully we feel up that.
We really need to, because the last time new map was filing was, and that was done. And if that's not the
it's
case,
not done.
we
When
can
we,
find out exactly.
last
where
week
that
when
process is.
when Scott and I sent that information, it was in the midst of whatever chaos was going on, but we had confirmed with the county that it had not been filed.
It was the time.
I'd like to make sure that we see if we're need to redo it or not, so.
Yeah, I agree. Because we literally may have to do pieces of it.
If we can have, maybe by the end of March, put that on March,
April.
April, whatever, yeah.
Oh, well, 2021, I guess.
Yeah.
Another year.
So March of 2021.
You're correct. By the end of April, I'd appreciate it, so we can make sure we're on. That's all I. Yeah, sure.
Curtis.
Well, I'll get my top really slow. I can say I have nothing to say.
Here,
So I've been out to the airport with Merlin, and we have talked to the owners out there cleaning up, trying to clean up the thing, and Eric and I toured out there too. He did talk to Jeff Stone. They are picking up plastic somewhat. There's a dealing with Midway of cleaning their stuff up. Merlin says there's a building out there that we saw. He'll burn that little building that was on this.
The one that's kind of like,
Tore
not
up.
even really there.
Yeah, so we are moving forward, cleaning up the concrete. He talked to the business about cleaning everything out. He's got 3 shears cleaning up the pasture, so just give you pointers on what we're doing out there, or what he's doing out there, base, and everything's moving forward. And that's all I have. I'm done.
Items I had on my list were already covered, mainly was the census maps, so that we can, since I've inherited that packet. So anyway, there's that. So is there anything else for the good of the community?
Nope, I moved to adjourn.
Second.
Kathy?
Okay, Commissioner Donahue,
Aye.
Commissioner Garretts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman, Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Mayor Urbani.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy.
Yeah.
Just do it now.